I did consider playing Battlefield 6. Hey Yahtzee, why don't you play Battlefield 6? A contemporary said to me. It's actually good. Really contemporary? I asked. It has a well-designed single-player campaign with a compelling story. You know what? Never mind, as you were. Out of curiosity, I opened the Battlefield 6 Wikipedia page, scrolled down to the plot summary, noticed the phrase private military company, and then I closed the Battlefield 6 Wikipedia page. Happily, I also discovered there was a third Little Nightmares game just come out, mind-blowingly titled Little Nightmares 3, which not only would be more appropriate for October, but also seemed to be getting panned in the Steam reviews. Oh boy, I need to play this, I said to myself. I'll probably fucking hate it. What fun I'll have. What the fuck else was there left to do with the Little Nightmares concept? Linear limbo-style puzzle platformer about frightened child scampering around huge bleak world just barely escaping from misshapen nightmare grown-ups resembling clumsily reupholstered leather furniture. And the plot is it's a nightmare and therefore doesn't have to make sense. We had that figured out by the title screen of Little Nightmares 2. Explain yourself, developer of Little Nightmares Tarsier Studios. Who are you talking to, Yards? What? Tarsier Studios? But if you're over there, who's developing Little Nightmares 3? Who on earth would be so wretched as to take someone else's fully milked IP and try to wring another game out of it? Hello? Supermassive Games, I might have known. What are you doing here? Got bored of making crushingly dull linear horror games. Thought we'd mix things up by making a crushingly dull linear horror game that doesn't star B-list Hollywood actors. And Supermassive wouldn't be Supermassive if they weren't crowbarring blisteringly unnecessary multiplayer modes into their shit, so Little Nightmares 3's gimmick is that it's two-player co-op. And permit me to now list every example of a successful multiplayer-focused sequel to a previously single-player-focused franchise. I'd rather you didn't, Yards. Don't worry, it won't take long. In fact, I already did it, in the pause after my previous sentence. Would you also like me to list every time an atmospheric narrative horror game has been made more effective by co-op gameplay? I'm not sure we have time yet. Well, I've got good news for you! I'm not saying an innovator couldn't come along and reverse these trends, but Little Nightmares 3 ain't it, me ducks. Sadly, my homunculus was out getting his teeth whitening procedure done, but the game does let you play single player with an AI partner, and therefore misses out even on the grudging respect I extend to Split Fiction and It Takes Two for insisting upon the two-player dynamic, and it means instead of playing a boring horror game that routinely sucks all the tension out of itself by having every set piece kill you over and over again until you figure out the precise sequence of actions required to evade whatever grinning metaphor for societal decay is chasing you this time, you now have to do all of that while ensuring a fucking AI companion is keeping up so the two of you can open the inevitable co-op game very heavy two-person doors before a half-melted Margaret Thatcher spitting image puppet can run up and bite off all your union benefits. And you do have to rely on the other dude because it's doing the It Takes Two coordination thing. One player gets the melee weapon and the other gets the ranged weapon, and both are needed at various times to neutralize threats and puzzles. But every now and again the AI partner just fucks it up, misses the shot or doesn't get away from the chasey thing in time, and I have to reload a save. Maybe they thought it'd recreate the co-op experience more authentically if the AI partner was as fallible as us puny humans. But this is basically the game hitting itself in the face with a hammer and then calling me the asshole for not telling it to stop. There's almost no visual consistency when it comes to what you're supposed to interact with. Climbable things and smashable things will frequently be indistinguishable from that which can't be climbed and shuns the smash. But Supermassive did a pretty admirable job of imitating the Little Nightmares house styles. So if you take every negative thing I said about Little Nightmares 2 and add the phrase, and then there's this asshole, we can probably knock off from the review early. The story involves Twat A and Twat B using magic mirrors to teleport between various nightmare set pieces, so the game's world has even less sense of coherent geography than ever. There's a bit with a giant evil baby, there's a bit in an evil carnival, there's a bit in an evil office building being chased by a giant monstrous middle manager who looks distractingly like Rupert Murdoch. But I'd say the defining moment came early on when I was navigating a, brace yourself, darkened room in a rundown building, when suddenly Melinoe from Hades 2 appeared and offered me one of 3 boons, including a 10% increased resistance to gnawing my own tits off from boredom. And then I shook myself and realised that hadn't happened at all and I was still in the gloomy rundown room. Fuck a duck, I said. Did I just literally fall asleep playing this game and briefly dream about playing a better game? No, seriously, I actually did. It's completely unprecedented, but what better evidence for the utter and complete lack of appeal in a horror game whose contextless horror creates zero sense of investment or lasting dread, and which obliterates what little visceral horror it creates in the moment with repeated restarts. Not to mention evidence that you should probably double check your retirement plan, Yards. Oh, fuck off, viewer. Whoops, I meant to say, please like and subscribe to the channel. Anyway, I discovered what I will laughingly call my research for this game, that original Little Nightmares developer Tarsier Studios has a demo out on Steam Next Fest for their new game, Reanimal. And I was like, great, classic narrative. Original developer leaves their burnt-out IP behind, leaving their publisher to get some other poor sucker to milk the floppy, deflated udders of what was once a cow before its skeleton was removed, while they move on to exciting pastures new. Tell me about Reanimal, Tarsier Studios. Well, it's a linear horror game in which you and a co-op partner play small children navigating a scary world full of monstrous adults. Can I stop you there, Tarsier Studios, and interject with, what the odorously prolapsing fuck? It plays identically to Little Nightmares 3. It's even got that thing where it lets you pick what scary mask your character wears, and then looks at you in smiling, unblinking lack of comprehension as you very conspicuously fail to give a shit. It's maybe got a touch more creativity. I enjoyed the bit where you pull a floppy man out of a toilet, but that was mainly from the empowering dad energy I get from successfully clearing blockages in pipework. Why on earth would you break off from your established, no longer fresh IP and then go off and make something exactly like it? That's like divorcing your spouse so you can marry your spouse wearing a different hat.
This video is sponsored by Boot.dev, the captivating online learning platform that'll help grow your software development skills in no time. Have you always wanted to learn how to code but never knew where to start? Finally come to the conclusion that 1995's Hackers is an excellent film but less excellent teaching tool. Well, with Boot.dev, transform your coding journey into your own personal RPG, complete with lessons that include XP, levels, achievements, quests, and even bosses to battle. But don't worry, you won't be going it alone. Meet your own personal AI tutor. His name is Boots. He's a wizard bear who codes, and I would die 1,000 deaths for him. Look at him. Boot.dev's curriculum is designed for builders and gamers. Hey, that's us. It provides the most captivating and finger-flying way to learn how to code. Soon you'll get your own cool hacker names like Rattleblade, Zero Crush, and Mama's Special Little Boy. Head on over to Boot.dev and use the promo code SECONDWIND to get 25% off your entire first year on the annual plan. And before you know it, you'll have enough skills to hack the planet!